Yo, what's up, friends? Welcome back to the local podcast. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Greensburg Video. That's my video and photography company located right here on Main Street in Greensburg. If you and your company are up for some fresh ideas and some engaging content, look no further than Greensburg Video. You can check out my work at gbgvideo.net or greensburgvideo.com. My portfolio is growing daily, so you can check that out. Shoot me a message, and we'll figure out a strategy for you. Speaking of advertising, you can do that for your business right here on the local podcast. If you're interested in that, hit me up at thelocal724.com. Today on the show, we have Patricia Vince. She is the executive director of Zacharys Mission. It's an outstanding organization here in Greensburg. Welcome to the local 724 podcast in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the local podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Hauser. Today we have Patricia Vince in here from the Zacharys Mission. She's the executive director. How are you doing today?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to have you on the show. Such a noble cause. I've heard a little bit about Zacharys Mission through my wife, who is friends with you via our children.
Yes.
And so if you could tell us a little bit about Zacharys Mission, how it came to be.
So 12 years ago, we had a child. He was born with a heart defect, and he was born at West Penn. We went to Children's, and we found out that he needed a heart transplant. So we had 15 days of this crazy roller coaster ride. And that time that we spent there with those families, it kind of became apparent. We walked away. Zach did not make it. He didn't get the heart transplant in time. You're racing the clock, right? But we walked away with an incredible awareness of this world that you just wouldn't know unless you sat inside that hospital.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, unfortunately, like you said, Zach didn't make it. What kind of things, I guess, from the get-go were you guys kind of battling?
Well, for us, it was a little bit different because our stay was short. But one thing was that we lived out of bags because there were no rooms to stay at the hospital. We were at the old children's hospital. You couldn't stay in the rooms. When things got very serious, when you have a critically ill child, when all the doctors have to be in the room and something's happening, you can't stay in there. You have to leave. So you're living out of your bags. And just the day to day, it is your life. Everything is uncertain, right? If you don't want to go home, so you want to be close to the hospital. So you're having to pay for hotel rooms and meals. And there's a financial piece to it, but also just that emotional stress that happens while you're there is immense.
Yeah, that's got to be just unbearably tough. I can't even imagine. So I guess how did you, after the incident, how did you go about forming Zacharys Mission?
Zacharys Mission. Well, it's funny. I had a maternity leave from work for 12 weeks, and then I went back. And then after we had, when a child dies, when a child's in the hospital, everybody around you feels so helpless. They want to do something. And we had food coming to the house. We weren't even at the house. We had tons of food coming to the house. We had people just giving money that we didn't even know. So after Zach had passed and we had all this money sitting there, and we thought, we're going to do something. We have to do something with all of this. And I went back to work. And after I had my third child, I did not return to my position. And I eventually formed Zacharys Mission.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that you had the wherewithal, I guess, to think that you wanted to move forward and help other people and do something amazing with the gifts that were given to you, and kind of pay that forward, for other people.
It is just paying it forward. And it's funny that you say that, because I remember the Christmas before Zach was born, my sister gave me these empty jars and this book called The Christmas Jars. And the book is all about paying it forward. It's all about you get a jar, you collect spare change in it, and you find someone random that needs help, and you give it to them. And you give it to them with a note in the book with the understanding that when they have the opportunity, that they'll pay it forward. So, that following Christmas, I had those jars full of change, and we didn't know we wouldn't have Zach, but that was kind of part of this whole, it was part of the paying it forward.
Yeah. That's so amazing. So you did leave a position. You were the executive director at an assisted living facility?
Yes. Yeah. I missed that. I missed working with the elderly. It was a great job as far as working with the residents. Yeah.
You definitely have this duty. It almost seems this duty to work with, people and help people in need. So,
yes,
that's very good that you're out there doing your thing. Lucky for a lot of people.
Yes.
But, you go through this experience, you guys form Zacharys Mission, and how, I guess, the question I think that I want is just kind of, you form this, how do you implement it?
How did I get it all the pieces to fit?
Yeah, basically. You came up with the idea. How did you get it? How did you get the ball rolling?
Sure. Initially, it was informal. So I dealt with the social worker of the Heart Institute at Children's Hospital and said I wanted to do these things. She would let me know what families needed. We had these funds, and we just informally did it out of a memorial fund. And the more we became familiar with what we could do and what we couldn't do, we started to think about actual programming. And then I looked into making an actual nonprofit. So, it's the whole thing of getting incorporated and getting approved as a nonprofit. And then I formed a board, and we made our programming, which has evolved a little bit over the years based on how things changed in family needs. And we went from there. So everything started in the Heart Institute of Children's Hospital. And then from that time, we've expanded to all of Children's Hospital, West Penn Hospital NICU, the Children's Home and Lemieux Family Center. And currently now we're at McGee, which we picked up during the quarantine. We started serving families at McGee NICU.
Oh, okay. That's an incredible amount of resources, for you guys and stuff. So, as far as just the way that you guys receive your funds and things, do you guys have any kind of events or anything like that drive people to donate?
On a normal year, Jordan.
Yeah, right.
We have big events. So, in the spring, we would have a purse bash that would benefit our Babies First program specifically. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the year, that's our big event where majority of our revenue comes from, is our gala. It's our Sharing Heart Gala every December. And it's a whole lot of fun. It's just before the holidays, kind of kicks off the holiday season in Pittsburgh at the Duquesne Ballroom. And it's a wonderful event, and that provides majority of our funding. And then throughout the year, we get a lot of in-kind donations, which is wonderful. So we'll have work groups, school groups getting together, collecting items, and filling our Zack Packs. Our Zack Packs are labor intensive, so that is a huge help in our programming.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Zack Pack? I saw this on your website. I was reading all of the notes from the families, and
yes,
that was a popular thing. Can you tell us about the Zack Pack?
Yeah, our Zack Packs, that's our signature program. So the blueprint of that was designed by Zach's dad when we're sitting at his bedside. He's a writer. And I'm not a writer, and I never understood, but what we have is this incredible book about Zach, but he also kind of designed this bag because we lived out of our bag all day. So we made this bag to meet the basic needs of families. When they first get there, right? They first get there, you're completely unprepared. Your child gets sick, you go to the ER, and then they end up admitting you. You don't have shampoo, you don't have lotion, you don't have a toothbrush. It's all these basic things that you don't have to think about. And so then they have a chance to get adjusted and not worry about those things. And we also have a journal in there, which is so incredibly special because, like I said, we have this incredible story of Zach's life because of journaling. And the more I looked into journaling, it's therapeutic. And I had found a therapeutic journaling program that they had at St. Jude's, where they encouraged the patients and the families to journal and really try to, if you can get it on paper, you can manage your thoughts a little bit better and then take a little bit more part in the care of your child because you kind of can get a grasp on what's going on. So we have special journals in there as well.
That's awesome. That's very interesting. I mean, like, I feel like journaling would be therapeutic during that time.
Yes.
Just to be able to jot down thoughts maybe about how you were feeling at that point. Sad enough to say, I mean, that time that you're going to spend with your child at that is short. So that time can pass by really fast, and you're so worried about other things that you're not really thinking about, I don't know, anything that happened, you know what I mean? Like you can write that down. He took a breath. He grabbed my finger. He did this, he did that. She did this, she did that. That I think later down the road, going through a journal like that and stumbling upon those entries or that entry, just those details would be extremely therapeutic.
Yes. You think you'll remember, you truly do.
Right.
But you do forget some things. So it's nice that you can write down those special things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So with our bags. Okay.
Go ahead. I was just going to be redundant and say, yes, it's extremely important.
I was just going to say the bags are sturdy as well. So families are there for a long time, but also, unfortunately, a lot of these families, they're back and forth a lot. So some families have reached out and said, I have this bag by my door. Like they don't carry it anywhere. So they just carry it for the hospital. But I added their favorite pajamas. I added a favorite activity of theirs or their favorite stuffed animal, something that they have specifically for the hospital. So if there's ever time that they have to pick up and go, they have the bag to go with them. Yeah.
As we were talking about the events and the gala and all that, what did the COVID year look like? What did 2020 look like for you guys?
It was different. We were like everybody else. And I got so tired of hearing the word pivoting that we had to pivot. Yeah. Pivot was the word. And I appreciate that. We definitely had to adjust. And it was, we learned about virtual and doing, virtual events was just a very, very different thing. And our first thing, we did our purse bash virtually. Mm-hmm. We held off for a while, didn't have it at the same time because there was that hope and that thought that we would be out of this by summer, out of it by fall. And then here we are, we've got to raise funds, right? We're still serving these families. We've got to raise funds. So they were all virtual events. And they worked out well because what happened was our expenses had decreased as well.
Yes.
The expenses are huge for an event. A lot of things are donated, but there's still additional expenses. So it helped tremendously.
And that's good. I mean, like I see a lot of different organizations around Greensburg doing virtual events right now, pivoting into this events and things. And, I feel like the support is almost on steroids right now because everyone is thinking like, you know what, this is such a shame that we can't do this. So let's make this big, and I love it. I think I'm seeing that a lot. I think everybody's seeing it with, virtual tip jars and takeout, supporting local restaurants, things like that. So like to have events go virtual might have taken a little while to get used to, but I feel like things are okay right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think they're going well. I think that everyone is adjusting, is adapting. And I think people really want to. If they have the ability to help, I think people want to. And especially ones that are especially, they go to many events, they support many things. Suddenly they didn't have anywhere to go. And that's why actually locally last summer, golf outings did wonderfully. Everybody was completely booked with positions because they were used to going to fundraisers. They couldn't go to fundraisers. So there was a chance to go to a golf outing and support a local charity. They were there. So, but I have to be honest with you, the day that we don't have to do virtual events anymore, I'm not going to miss it.
Right,
I'm not going to miss it.
Yeah.
But I think it's what we're dealing with right now. So people are having fun with it. Every time you see an event, it gets more and more creative.
For sure. I mean, like people are definitely taking their creativity to a whole new level.
Yes.
With these types of things. And it's really inspiring. I think it would inspire different people to do the same. And, it just, everybody kind of works off of what they see. And, if other people and other organizations are doing something, it's like, hey, how can we this is a really cool idea. How can we take that, kind of spin it, make it our own and do it bigger? I think it's a really neat thing. So you and your husband, you have other children?
Yes.
Yes. Obviously I knew that.
You know that.
This is for the audience. How does your son feel about this whole thing? What's his take on
it? They like it. They're proud of it. And it's interesting that they have a connection with Zachary that they would not have had if we had not chosen to do this, right? He was so very young when Zach was born that my sister was here from Florida. Grandparents are coming in and out all the time, aunts and uncles. It's like a party. He doesn't fully comprehend what's happening. So, when he actually was old enough to kind of get it, I have to say initially, he didn't understand how the loss of his brother was a good thing, how Zacharys Mission was a good thing. So growing old and kind of understanding what we did, they both enjoy it. They both have become my volunteers, and it's very special for both of them. And I have a younger daughter that's 11, and she enjoys it as well.
Well, that's good. I mean, like, to grow up in an atmosphere of giving and supporting and helping other people, I think is probably one of the most important things that a child can kind of absorb at this specific point in time. It's just awesome, I think. And, the kindness and support and everything like that. I mean, it shines through every time your son's over at our place and things like that. He's a great kid. We like having him over. And, but it's just, it's very neat to see, that out of such a traumatic experience that you guys were able to rise above that and really help other people through doing the services that you do. Like, what are some of the services that you guys provide besides like the Zack Pack and stuff?
The Zack Pack. Our other programs are Babies First program. So that is a program where we celebrate babies first. Our huge holidays are Valentine's Day, Easter, and Thanksgiving. We have other smaller holidays that we do in the Heart Institute because that's where everything started. And as we grow, then we'll grow those other things as well. So the Babies First is helping families connect with their child through these adorable gifts, right? You get them first, and there's little girls have the little tutus and the matching headbands and the little socks, and they're really cute. But when your child is very, very fragile, it seems automatic that you would bond with your newborn, but it's very difficult when you can't even hold them. You can't do those things that most parents would do. And so sometimes you're kind of frozen in fear. You're waiting for all of it to be okay. And the fact is, you may be dealing with something that is the way it is. So we really want to encourage that bonding. And that's dressing your child. That's taking those photos on their first holiday. That's, we include books where they read, because reading is a great way to connect with your baby. And we make postcards that might say Baby's First Valentine's Day, and they can put a footprint on there or handprint and all those things to remember that moment. And so we really want to encourage them to celebrate that holiday, but really it's about connecting with your child regardless of how fragile they are.
Yeah. One of the go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say every Valentine's Day, that's things changing with COVID. Every Valentine's Day, we do a photo shoot. So we used to just do like 15, 25 babies, but we've grown to doing 200 gifts that we give away every holiday. So we get 15, 16, 17 photographers, professional photographers to join us for Valentine's Day and take pictures of all the babies. And then they put them on a disc so the families can do whatever they want to do with them. Really, we provide whatever works for it best, whether it be a file or whatever. And it's it's a special time because some of them never got newborn pictures. So unfortunately, these may be the only pictures they get of their babies. And we feel it's so incredibly important that these families have these photos. And so we do that on Valentine's Day, but we didn't get to do this Valentine's Day, but it is a special part of our programming.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, you told us earlier, you listed them off, but about how many places are you guys involved with? 4
right now.
4. Okay. So that's just, I mean, that's insane. That's wild to think that, 200 a year. That's wild.
Yeah. Well, not a year per holiday. Oh, so we do Valentine's Day. Yeah. So, and it's, they're medically fragile kids, right? So these kids that are born in Westmoreland Hospital around here, like I just say a local hospital. Yeah. We're supporting those families as well. If they get to the point where they have to be in Pittsburgh, we're there for them as well. So they don't have we're taking care of those families. We're taking care of families really from wherever.
Right.
And we even have a special, I guess we have 5 because we have a special program with Westmoreland Hospital where we give them Zack Packs and we give them gas cards. And sometimes we have Chick-fil-A cards donated as well. And the point of that is when your neighborhood hospital tells you we can't take care of your baby, we have to send you to Pittsburgh. It's not comforting. It's really frightening. So instead of them sending you off saying, good luck, it's kind of, hey, here's some things to help you get settled once you get there. And just those initial things you think about, we just kind of try to take them off their plate so they can get there, get settled, and focus on their child.
Man, you guys really did kind of think of everything. It's an inspiring thing just to hear the story, that you guys, how you guys are doing this for other families it's special. That's kind of the only way to describe it. I was going through your website and I was reading a story about, they were thanking you for the Zack Pack and everything. And they said that she had just, the baby had just celebrated her first birthday, and they still used the Zack Pack to get her back and forth to like daycare or something like that.
Yes.
And that's like, it's so amazing. Like I am a very big proponent of like positive thought. I think that positive thinking really is the difference between a yes or a no, win or loss, anything like that. And so do you guys, and I don't know if you guys keep track or anything, but do you guys see like, an uptick in, since you guys have started this, have you seen just kind of like, people that you're helping get through these problems more?
It's interesting. I don't know if I can say that. I meet families different parts of their journey. And sometimes it's not till a year or two afterwards, they'll reach out and say, you gave me a Zack Pack and it meant so much. Or I have my journal that you gave me and we wrote it. I treasure it the most. A lot of times we put the babies first. Someone reach out and say, I still have their tutu. I still have their little tie that you gave us because it's something to remember. But when they're in there in the midst of it, we don't always hear from them. And that's, we like the way our services are run, where we don't work directly with families, although we love to meet them. We kind of respect their privacy, and we really depend on the staff and the social workers to say, we have this family, this is what's going on, this is their need, can you help us? Yeah. And so we're just so happy we can so often say yes because we, the support that we receive. Mm-hmm.
So how many, I guess, like Zack Packs do you guys deliver on? Do you guys deliver those like weekly, monthly, bi-weekly? How does this all happen?
When we first started our program, it was as needed. And then as it became more well-known and understood, it was busy. So we started doing this monthly drop-offs. So I'll email the social workers and say, hey, I'm coming out this date, this time. It's always the second Wednesday of the month. Mm-hmm. And what are your needs? And then they let us know what their needs are based on their census. They could have a lot more patients or a lot less. Right. And so they tell me what they need. I pack everything up and give them what they need for the month. And then in between that, we had talked about the Babies First program. We have another program called the Sharing Heart Fund. Mm-hmm. That takes care of all of our gas cards, cafeteria vouchers, food vouchers, but also in between the times I see the social workers, it pays for utility bills. So sometimes those families are in there for a very long time and things start to get hard to handle. Oftentimes, one parent leaves their job to make sure they're there with that sick child. And then the other parent's kind of juggling between getting to the hospital and taking care of the kids, trying to maintain normalcy for these other kids, right? Right. So we help with bills. So what happens is maybe between our drop-offs, a social worker will talk to us about that. And then what we do is we get the information, work directly with the utility companies so that the families don't have to worry about it, and we take care of it for them.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. I mean, like all of the things that, again, I can't imagine, but I mean, all of the things that you would probably not even think about. I mean, at that point, you get pushed to a point where you're like, well, you know what, this is more important than my job right now, and why go sit somewhere at a desk for 8 hours when you can spend that 8 hours with your child? If you're not even sure that they're going to survive that day, so you have to pick and choose. And obviously that's more important. In the grand scheme of things, it is also important to, have a house when you get back and
yes,
like that. So for you guys to take care of those things, everything, let's call it like on the back burner, for you guys to take care of those things is extremely important. And I can't even imagine the relief that somebody would feel being in that position.
Yes. Yeah. We rarely directly connect with families. And for this one time, the social worker talked about the mom having some issues and asked if she could connect, like if I could call her. And I said, sure. And I don't really get to talk to families. And I got to talk to her, and she talked a lot about everything that her child was going through, everything that they were going through. And you could tell as she's talking about this, she was kicking herself. She couldn't understand why they couldn't get everything back together. So they were in the hospital for several months. They're out of the hospital, then they're home, and they're still struggling to get back to baseline. And she's just, you can tell she's just struggling with even having to talk to someone about this. And why don't I have everything together yet? And so after I listened to her for a while and I heard everything, and I looked at what matches our mission. What can we help her with? So I was able to tell her that we could help her. And it was like, I could feel like that tension completely melt away. And it was pretty incredible for me, because I don't always get to see that because we work with the staff. So I didn't get to see it, but I'm not with her on the phone and I can feel it. Yeah. Over the phone, I can just feel like that she completely changed. And so we're glad that we get to do these things. You talk about what we went through and what we do. In Zacharys Mission, sometimes people confuse us with like that we have a religious affiliation. And really it's mission is purpose. What is your mission? What is your purpose? This is Zacharys Mission. We don't know his purpose, but as parents going through what we went through, why do we go through this? How did this happen? You kind of have to make sense out of it. And everybody does something different. And to us, it made sense seeing these families, seeing what they went through. We did a lot of people watching, not in a gawking way.
You're right.
You're sitting there. Zach was pretty serious. So we were kicked out of the room a lot. So we're sitting there, we're watching these people around us, and we shared the same space as NICU families. We saw all sorts of families. We were in the cafeteria when we were down in the lobby. And it's like, you could identify the families that were there for a couple of days and the ones that were there for weeks and for months, because it wore on their face, it wore on their posture. It's so difficult. So the fact that we witnessed that, like maybe Zach's purpose was that he was here and he showed us this whole world, right? And then we were able to do something about it. Yeah.
So, I mean, like you guys getting a chance to talk to that specific lady, she, let you know, how the problems that she was going through. And then that kind of, set off some ideas in your head that, hey, maybe we need to offer this, this, and that. Do you guys see that often? Like every year, do you guys think like, oh, hey, this should be something that we offer as well, or this is something that we should look into? Like as you grow, you probably run into more and more things, right?
Sure.
What are some of the things that you have run into that you're thinking about
changing?
Offering?
I can say our programming is pretty solid, because our program is made from the time they get there with the Zack Packs, support them there throughout. And that's with our babies first. And that's with and there aren't all babies in the hospital. I should say that not all families get the babies first, because they're not all babies, but throughout, as far as the financial assistance piece and the gifts that we give throughout. So we may have tweaked where the babies first came in to replace, we used to stock food pantries. And I love to talk to the social workers where they might say, we just had this organization come in and they're starting to do this. And so we'll look at it and say, okay, are we complimenting them, or are we working on top of each other? So we want to make sure that our programming complements the other programming that are in the same units that we are. So they all work together, because there's many different families, there's many different needs, and it truly takes a village to meet all of their needs. So our programming has stayed pretty solid actually for a while, but small things might change in it. Like we used to have travel size. All of our Zack Packs have all full-sized items in them. We had the little books with the crossword puzzles in them, and a book family said, you know what, with smartphones now, that might not even be a necessary piece of it. So we got rid of it.
Yeah. Instead of using pivoting, let's say adapting. And, you go and you learn these things, and it's great to get feedback from, the families, because
yes.
If it's something that they're not going to use, then you guys could take those funds and use it for something else. I mean, that's
exactly.
It's fantastic. They would let you know, and you guys are willing to take that information and adapt. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We always appreciate families. We always appreciate family feedback. And most of the time it's simply to say, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We also appreciate when the families, give a little bit of feedback, tell a little bit about what we're doing. I think sometimes people are so grateful, they hate to say anything that might seem critical.
Right.
But we do always appreciate when the ones step up and say, hey, maybe you could try this.
Yeah. And that's what I meant. Like, I think it's great that in a position where, you don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, basically.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic that you guys would, accept that and say, okay, well, let's take and make this a positive and, figure out what we can do. It's just awesome. Yes. Very cool.
Thank you.
So for people listening, are there volunteer opportunities? How do we get involved?
There are volunteer opportunities. So a big one, our Zack Packs is a huge community thing. So we'll have groups that will collect items and then they'll fill the Zack Packs. Some people just collect items and donate them. Some people, they don't have the ability to collect the items, but they want to fill the bags. So we have a lot of groups that will actually just fill the bags. We bring everything there and they fill them. Our Babies First, we sometimes have people make the little tutus and some of our knit hats. That we make. We have, if you can knit and crochet, we love you. Yeah. If you want to make baby hats, please feel free to do that. And then, of course, the events that we have, we always love to have volunteers. We have a gentleman finishing his senior project. When he was younger, he was in the hospital. His family got a Zack Pack and they just thought it was pretty cool. All the things that were in there that were so useful. So he's finishing his senior project. And what he did was he was helping put together a social media campaign to, put out our needs for our Zack Packs and how you can help fill them. So, there are many different ways to volunteer. And I just always say, email us at contact@zacharysmission.org. And I'll be happy to, if you want to collect anything, and I'll be happy to work with you and come up with the best way to volunteer or support Zacharys Mission.
That's awesome. Yeah. If you can't volunteer, if you're not able to do that, you can donate, you can support. Yes. Are there ways, how can you support you guys? How does that work? If somebody is not able to volunteer, if they can't donate, maybe a share on Facebook, something like that.
Oh, that like social media is huge. When you share, right? When you follow us, when you comment, all those things help us reach a new audience, reach new people. So that makes a huge difference. And just sharing our name, I would say anytime you go out in the community and share our name, that may be the first time they hear it. Sometimes they have to hear it 2, 3, 4 times to say, what is it about the Zacharys Mission? Or someone's looking for a new, type of organization to support. I'm tired of the same organizations. Let's find someone new. What I heard about this organization, Zacharys Mission. So if you don't speak our name, then people can't support us.
Right. Absolutely. So I would ask that everybody listening to the show go out, support, volunteer, or donate, do whatever you can, spread the word, because it's such an amazing organization. I think that, anybody that is, anybody that's in need in that time is just like, they're really looking for anybody to really just kind of give them a little bit of relief. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. So I thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. What an awesome organization out there helping families in one of the roughest periods of their entire lives. And, it's just so amazing that we have something around here locally that is focusing on the families here in our area. So awesome. So if you guys could get there, show some love, go visit zacharysmission.org, ZACHARYS mission.org. And on there, you can register to help or donate, volunteer some way. If you can't donate, you can support them for free, totally for free. You can support local businesses for free just by sharing their posts or commenting on their posts, things like that. It's a big help, and it helps spread the word, keep things current. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We were gone for a couple weeks. I was on the sunny beaches of Puerto Rico with my beautiful wife and some friends of ours, and it was a well-deserved vacation, I feel. But we're back at it, and we'll see you next week for a new episode.